Hello.
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 Hello?
Hello. My name's MrNormalPerson. And I'm completely normal. Mr. Normal Person is completely normal. I love a bit of sci-fi, me. But lately my expectations from legendary director Ridley Scott have dropped so far and so low that you'd need James Cameron to hop in that little yellow submarine of his and fish them out from the Laurentian fucking abyss. Ridley, you've got patchy form, especially lately. We've got his long-awaited return to the Alien franchise, which instead of rescuing, he's promptly flushed down the shitter. He's been quoted as not giving two monkey balls about script, which, I don't know about you, but it seems a little bit like building a skyscraper without giving a fuck about whether you're building it on a solid bedrock or on some shitty slurry-filled swamp, and what could go wrong there. But I did raise an eyebrow when I heard about Raised by Wolves. Proper hard fi, people said, which I can't commentate on, not really knowing what the hard fi is meant to be. But the visuals and the pseudo-religious subtext and the gritty, foreboding atmosphere made it seem like it could be on the right side of that thin line that separates intelligent writing from pretentious self-filleting bullshit.
You seek your creator. I am looking at mine.
For fuck's sake. So pick up your nutsacks and fanny flaps and whatever else it is you got down there, and here's a quick review of the first 5 eps. First off, we're introduced to 2 androids, simply named Mother and Father, who land on an unknown planet. It's not exactly hospitable and has a surface more pitted than General Dharma from Battlestar Galactica's face. Honestly, that's not really a slap at him. He's got a great face. I'm totally fascinated by a face, and he's a fucking badass. Dude, where are you? You need to be in more stuff. So the surface of the planet is also full of these deep holes, one of which Mother and Father's ship falls into. Oh dear. But here's my first problem. So even back in the 60s, in the days of the Apollo space missions, the boss at NASA spent a shitload of time analyzing where their craft's going to set down. You see where I'm going with this? So the last thing you want is to spend $1 gazillion firing some aspiring Neil Armstrong type into orbit, having spent years crossing the cold dead void of space, survive almost burning up on re-entry to the atmosphere, only for him to drop straight in the top of a fucking volcano. So why would a civilization hundreds of years into the future not have a better solution than potentially skidding straight off a cliff or into a wall or... for fuck's sake. Anyway, next thing you know, it's impregnation time. Woo! And Mother is lying down starkers. Not that it matters because she's had any, let's just say, interesting bits omitted. Yes, she has no nips. And yes, the actress either had to wear a bodysuit or some poor VFX guy had to paint out her nipples and make her as smooth as a Ken doll. Probably the same guy who had to paint out the Andrex puppy's butthole. So Father sticks some tubes into Mother, and Jesus Christ, if this is how baby making is done in the future, you can keep the future and stick it right up your blowhole. If the birds and the bees has become just USB cabling your partner's belly and the other end into some embryo in a hermetically sealed sack of pickled egg juice, I'm out. You can keep it. So anyway, one of those babies is stillborn, but Mother brings it back to life with the classic power of love. Movie trope. It does establish a warmth and a bond between Mother and her offspring, which is important because so far all we've had is a bizarre, disconnected, joke-making, inappropriate times, and of course, robotic, emotional rhythm from our 2 latex-enrobed protagonists. Not a criticism. I actually found it really interesting to watch. Just noteworthy. So, as Mother and Father build up a camp and raise their offspring and find a giant skull and lift it up like, woo, this is easy, yay! One of the kids strays off and falls down one of the holes and Mother howls like a wolf. Okay, 4 years later and 4 kids have now died and there's only 2 left. So it's time for Mother to explain a bit of backstory. Backstory time! Backstory time! She's from a group called the Atheists, who believe in strength from within and science, as opposed to a group called the Mithraic, who believe in imaginary, fairy, cloud dad gods.
Seriously?
When another kid dies, leaving only a young boy called Campion, Mother is so stricken with grief, white frothy snot pours out of her nose, kind of like the time I did a whole 8-ball and 6 shots of tequila and I'm pretty sure my frontal lobe melted. The kid then prays to some potatoes and Mother talks to him in his dead sister's voice.
You no pray to potato, you naughty.
All totally normal. Apparently the Mithraic are in orbit already in their arc and arriving imminently. So we find out Mother used to be a Dr. Manhattan type, all-powerful killing machine, and on top of that, she's now defective, which, when you think about it, is like sending a bunch of kids on a picnic to a desert island with a happy-go-lucky scout leader on a flamethrower which may or may not be leaking gasoline. Probably won't explode and kill us all, but at least we can't get off the island. Burn, baby, burn! Oh, the flames, how they dance. Wait, how many pyromaniacs are in here?
36.
37, actually. Then the two androids have a bizarre domestic, which escalates and results in Mother ripping Father's gonads out of his belly. She then tells the kids, it's fine. He kind of wanted to die, really, so, everything's fine. She's soon out on another coke binge and starts digging up the garden while growling like a Satan-possessed chihuahua, then passes out, waking up to find a bunch of interstellar Jehovah's Witnesses asking what faith she is.
Greetings.
What is your faith?
Oh my god, church boy, get out of my face, I've just woken up from a 48-hour coke. So Ragnar shows up and whinges about being hungry, and Mother invites him in for tea. The space conquistadors then start to steal crops and try to steal the kid, prompting Mother to go full Dr. Manhattan and literally melt their faces off. She bonks Vikings guy on the head, which is kind of weak-ass considering what she's capable. I don't know, it's almost as if maybe they need this character for later. And steals his ship and heads up to the orbiting Ark. She literally liquefies the crew with a scream of death and crashes the ship into the surface of the planet, and it is fucking awesome. She steals some of the Mithraic kids to replenish her collection and tells Campion to look after them while she goes and takes a nap. I mean, imagine your mum coming home hungover while you're watching your Saturday morning cartoons going, I've just exploded several people and stolen a bunch of kids. Here they are. I think I might need to sleep this off. Help yourself fucking read a bit. Vikings guy wakes up again, which then you can tell where this is going because it's setting up a confrontation over the fate of these kids. Again, how this man survived, I don't know. You know what? This needs to be a trope.
There's no way they could have survived it.
So that's the end of Ep 1, and overall it's pretty intriguing stuff. There's the usual bits and bobs that don't add up, but it's sci-fi, and you're going to have to suspend your disbelief at some point. Where sci-fi usually fails in my book is when it doesn't give you an interesting enough character to warrant you making that leap. If you bond or empathize with the character enough, you'll more likely go, well, okay, it doesn't really make any sense, but I'll overlook it. And for me, the Mother character gives you that, with her android programming often struggling to cope with the immense burden of issues, such as child loss, and then paired with the ability to literally liquefy you on a whim, makes her really quite a compelling, sometimes scary, sometimes warm, but compelling character. So Ridley, very decent job so far. Can't wait for the next step. Episode 2 flashes us back to 2145 and right into the thick of the war on Earth. Think Judgment Day, and after the rise of the machines, the humans have all put on pointy hats and the Terminators are all floating around screaming at everybody, hoping to make them explode! Two atheist soldiers realise they have got to get on the Myth People's space ark or they'll be left behind to die on Earth. So they talk a droid with half his face burned off into performing plastic surgery on them to make them look like the guy from Vikings while his girlfriend fries a rat she just shot. Once their facelifts and Botox is complete, they go hunt down the original Ragnar couple and bump them right off in total cold blood, but before stepping into their shoes completely, they find out that they had a kid that they now have to deal with. So back on Kepler, which I like to call Planet Acne, Mother swaps her eyeballs, which I think is like her disarming herself, and fires up Father again, and he's like, you killed me, and she's like, yeah, and he's like, okay, fine. Ragnar hugs a rock, and I still don't know why. Then we flash back to the Ark's journey as imposter Ragnar and his missus start to bond with their newfound kid. Not difficult since his original parents didn't even talk to him, apparently. Campion continues to be pulled in between his parents' ideology and the other kid's ideology. And I think that it's here that it dawned on me, just as I suspected that this was going to settle into the familiar we've got to get our loved one back trope.
We've got to get our loved one back.
So, as I'm sure you've noticed already, movies and series will often kidnap the main character's daughter, son, nephew, whoever the he cares about, because it puts him or her in a position where they have to go to incredible lengths just to get them back and ensure they're safe. And here, the same thing's happening, but here, it's not just about getting the kids back safe and sound, because whoever controls the children is guaranteeing the passing down of their entire belief system and their entire way of life. And this is what we do as humans. We almost can't help but imprint our beliefs onto our offspring. And a fate worse than death would be to let the opposition raise the kids their way, leaving you to die in a ditch with generations of your entire f***ing paradigm. Anyway, the myth, whatever they're called, find a platonic-shaped obelisk indicating that there's an intelligent life form on this planet somewhere, and probably much more intelligent than me, because look at that thing. I wouldn't know how to start building that fucking thing. And the followers of Sun God Sol say that this is the first part of some prophecy they have. I'm sure that no part of that prophecy mentions that on one side of this thing, there is a sphincter that Imposter Ragnar promptly puts his head into. It reminds me of a video where this bald guy lubes up his entire head and... Anyway, long story short, Imposter Ragnar, who was a non-believer in the first place, begins to believe as the mysterious prophecy begins to come true, but also he begins to twist the prophecy and manipulate the followers into doing what he wants them to do. So is this another Warrior of Light prophecy, and is Imposter Ragnar actually Sun God Sol's chosen one? Fucking compelling storyline regardless. Another compelling storyline is one where Father is trying to get the kids to butcher a native reptilian spider monkey creature. Real men kill things. And when the pregnant girl finally does, she finds that the creature was also with child. Oh no! Father's whole argument of having to do what's necessary to guarantee your own survival suddenly seems cold and unfeeling. Overly scientific, perhaps. A little bit like atheism itself, perhaps. We explore Mother's backstory further. Backstory time! And see her capture and reprogramming by this guy. Hello? Something or other Campion. Before being blasted off into space. It was all done in kind of a hurry and kind of does explain pretty well, actually, my previous rant about not planning the landing zone. But, you know, sorry, not sorry. Imposter Ragnar tightens his grip on the Mithraic group and they meet this guy. Woo, let's call him Archibald! Who apparently was told by his god to get molested with the members of the flock while they were still in stasis.
What a wonderful lie, you dirty old goat!
And the bucket is a device that will crush his head if, you know, he ever needs a little slap on the wrists. Imposter Ragnar gets coital with his missus and it gets messy, let's just say, and he has a vision of fuck knows, and they finally find Mother and Father's camp. Dun, dun, dun. Wait, I'll get the squirrel. So it's at this point that I'm halfway through the series, and Ridley, it's going to take a lot to get you back in my good books, and we're not there yet. But we are making progress. There is a lot of good stuff here. It all rests on the next 5.5 hours of latex-clad sci-fi. Check out my part 2 video to find out if I can forgive him for you-know-what.
Oh, crazy little snake. Oh, what a cute little snake. Come here, little snake.
And if you've made it this far, thank you so much. You've made it further than I thought anybody ever would. Hit a like, hit a subscribe maybe. I don't know. See what you feel like.